Hi, it's Leslie. A few months ago, I went to an agricultural convention, and at that convention, we could get some salads that were made out of sunflower shoots with this luscious tahini dressing on them, and it was so delicious. So I was asking them how they went ahead making their sunflower shoots, and I have come home and been making them, and they're beautiful on a salad. They're tasty. And so we're going to talk about how to grow your own sunflower shoots. We will be using 2/3 of a cup of black oil sunflower seeds that are meant for growing microgreens, 1 cup of water, 2 tablespoons of hydrogen peroxide, and if you're using food grade hydrogen peroxide, you can use a teaspoon, and 1 teaspoon of distilled white vinegar. So I have the two-thirds of a cup in here. I'm going to go ahead and add 1 cup of water. 2 tablespoons of the hydrogen peroxide, and 1 teaspoon of the distilled white vinegar. And all we're going to do is let that soak for just 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. I'm going to start the timer. And after 10 minutes, we will go ahead and drain these and rinse them really, really well. And then I will add water and soak them for about 6 to 8 hours before we start the actual sprouting process. So it has been 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and drain this. And then I'm going to rinse it really well. And you don't have to have a fancy lid like this. You could just use a strainer. But I also like to make things like alfalfa sprouts and clover sprouts. And these lids come in very handy, especially in the beginning phases of making these. So I want to rinse off all of the vinegar and the HP. And now I'm just going to add plenty of water. And we're going to go ahead and let this soak for 6 to 8 hours. And then we'll drain it and put it on the trays. We'll show you that when we get there. So the sunflower seeds have soaked, and I went ahead and drained them. And now I'm going to put them on the tray. Now this tray is about 8.5 by 11, so about the size of a standard piece of copy paper. So you know that the 2/3 cups of sunflower seeds is for that size. Somebody told me that when you're doing a full flat, as in a flat for standard growing plants, they use 2 cups. It seemed like an awful lot to me, and they were really crowded. But they do need to be crowded in order to be able to lift the brick. So I'm just going to go ahead and rinse these and get them all out of here. You could just use a spatula or something, but for the sake of the video, I'm just going to get them out this way. And then I can drain the water out of the bottom tray here very easily, which I will do after. And we're just going to spread the seeds evenly on the tray, somewhat evenly. This tray, try to get all the way to the edges because you're going to need the whole area. Get these all on here. And this is a similar method that you would do if you're doing pea shoots or other shoots. They say sunflowers are the trickiest because they can get moldy. So I'm going to try to not get them so thick that they can be moldy. And I think without using a growing medium, such as coconut coir or planting mix, they're not so likely to get so moist and moldy.
these trays were meant to be used without a growing mix. And I held on to them for years. I bought them and I never could figure out how to use them because the holes, my alfalfa seeds and things would fall through. But for larger seeds, these work very, very well. So I've got my seeds spread out. Now comes the sprouting time. And I'm going to take one of the other bases. Came with 5 bases and 5 of the mesh trays. I'm going to put that on there. And then we're simulating heavy soil on top by putting a brick. Now I will remove this brick and rinse the sprouts under the faucet, and I'll show you that when it comes time, a couple times a day. So I'll just take the brick off, remove this, and rinse the seeds and drain the tray underneath and put the brick back on, keeping them moist but not incredibly wet. So we put the brick on top, and then we're going to keep them dark. We don't want to put them in light until the seeds are ready to actually green up. So I'm not going to put them under my grow lights. I'm just going to put them someplace where it's not incredibly light, and the darkness of the tray will help them to stay dark. We'll see you a little bit later. We began our sprouting process Thursday night. We sterilized the seed and soaked the seed. Friday morning, we spread them out on the tray. I rinsed them a couple of times, 2 or 3 times a day, until now it is Sunday morning. And we're ready to take a look at what these look like. So I'm going to remove the brick. And this tray right here. And let me see if I can get them in good light here, if you can see the good light. You can see that they are beginning to sprout. We have a nice even layer in here. And some of them, I can see that the root, the tail is starting to go down into the mesh of the tray. So this is rooting itself in soil because of the weight on top. So now what I want to do is to go ahead and rinse these again. You can see they're a little bit glossy because they are staying moist with that tray on top. And I'm going to put this on spray, and I'm going to turn it down so that it's kind of a gentle spray. I don't want to dislodge the seeds. I want them to stay in a nice even layer. And I'm going to put them back in the base tray. Put this back on again. We're still keeping them in the dark. Replace the brick. And then I'm going to put them, not necessarily in the dark, but out of direct sunlight. Trying to keep it as if they were underneath soil. And we'll see you again in a little while. So here we are on Tuesday around noontime, and we can see that they are definitely starting to sprout very nicely. The hulls are coming off, and part of that is the weight. It helps the hulls to come off, and of course we're not going to want to eat hulls. Let's just take a look underneath and see what's going on there. We can see some roots. Let's see if I can get a better angle on this. Get some roots coming out on the bottom. We can see there's water in the tray. And that's it. We'll keep rinsing them. We're keeping the brick on still with the weighted top, and we will see you in a little bit. This is day 6, and a lot of the hulls have fallen off. They're looking really lovely. They smell fine. There's no foul smell to them whatsoever. And I am going to move them under some light. I do have grow lights, but you could just put them in a light area. The more light, the better. And I think I'm going to go ahead and put a light layer of plastic wrap over the top
simply because they do not have soil. And so I do not want them to dry out. So I'm just going to lightly lay it over it so that maybe a little bit of air can come in from the sides. And we will see you soon. Today is Thursday, and they're growing quite nicely, but you can see there's still some little hulls on here. So at this point, every day from now on, I'm going to go ahead and just rub my hand over them a little bit, and that should knock off some of these little hulls. You can see what they look like here. But these are looking pretty good. And then the next day or two, they'll be ready to cut. And then I just cut them at level, but I'll show you how to do that when we get there. So here we are Sunday morning, and the sunflower shoots have been growing quite nicely. Again, I've been rinsing them 2 or sometimes 3 times a day. And once they started getting larger like this, I stopped pouring the water over them and started just putting it into the tray, something like this. So I lower them in there, and then I just run the water until it overflows out of the tray. As you can see, many of the hulls have come off, not all of them, and actually I don't find that all of them ever 100% come off. Occasionally you have to pick some out. But once I flood this tray and I start draining it, some hulls will just drop out of the bottom, as you can see here. And over the days, I've had hulls just falling out of the bottom as such. So the roots are getting wet with this, but not all of the tops of the sunflower shoots. Just drain it one more time. And I don't make it 100% every drop out, but most of it out. And you can see there's a few holes in here. Over the last couple of days, I've had quite a few holes in there, and more will continue to come off just as the sunflowers, let me shut this off. More will come out as the sunflowers continue to grow a little bit more. So here we are, Wednesday, so it's been over a week, and we are going to go ahead and cut our beautiful sunflower shoots. But I cannot do that with one arm. And so I've asked Steve if he would be in front of the camera, and I'm behind today. So, hi Steve.
Hi Leslie, hi everyone.
Alrighty, so let's go ahead and take a look at our sunflower shoots. Now this was 2/3 of a cup of sunflower seed, black oil sunflower seeds that are specifically for making microgreens or shoots. And we can see they filled up the tray quite beautifully. I would like to show you what it looks like underneath. So Steve, if you could pick that up. Now I have been watering these, like I've been showing you, 2 or 3 times a day. Sure, and we can see that the root system underneath is quite extensive. Now we're not going to eat any of those roots. These are sprouts. If you're making alfalfa sprouts or something, you're eating the root and all, but we're not going to do that with the sunflower shoots. So we are going to go ahead. I'm going to have Steve pick up the tray and hold it over our salad spinner, and he's going to cut about 3/4 of an inch above the shoots. And he'll just cut them right into the salad spinner. And Steve, if you want to lift out the white tray, you can, but I don't know if that'll make that much of a difference, really.
Yeah, I think you're right, but I'll try it.
Okay. So he's going to cut those right into there. Oops, get him in the.
Oh, you're right. I'm too busy cutting.
Now there are some seeds in there, some of the hulls, but you can pick those out, and see, you can even cut a little bit lower too.
Okay.
Now that you're getting toward the middle there, cut a little bit lower. Oh, those are beautiful. They smell so fresh, and what I have found is growing them in these trays, there's almost no mold. When I used to grow them in a potting mix or something along those lines, you could grow them in coconut coir or something like that. I had a lot of issues with mold, but growing them without any type of a growing medium has done a lot better as far as the mold problem. And I believe that that is the major issue that people have with growing the sunflower shoots, is they tend to get moldy. So Steve, if you could just pick up this white tray here and hold it over the green part, hold it over this part, up. And all you're going to do is take this knife and skim it along the bottom and cut the roots off. So you can hold it up.
Turn it this way?
Yes. Yep. And then just slice the roots right off. Alrighty, and now from the top you can just pull those all right out and put them into the green tray, and that will all be great stuff for the compost pile. If you raise chickens, you can feed it to your chickens, but if not, it'll be wonderful food in the compost pile. So nothing has to go to waste. Everything can be used in one form or another. And you could cut them closer if you wanted to. It just depends how many hulls you want to be picking out. The longer you let the shoots go, the more hulls will drop to the bottom. But you don't want to get to the point where a third leaf is coming up from the middle of the shoots. Then they start to lose some of their good flavor. It's best to cut them when they only have the two and not a large third leaf coming out of the middle. Okay, so that's good for now. And we have the sunflower shoots in our spinner. So Steve, if you just want to spray them off with the faucet, spray them. And I do this because I found that they keep really well this way. All right, that's good. They're all rinsed. You can do that. Lift out the strainer basket and drain out the water that's obviously there. And then we're going to go ahead and spin them. And we have a wonderful salad spinner here that I picked up at a thrift store for just a few dollars. I love it. Give it some good firm pumps so it's pumping nice and fast. You can even go, there you go. And we're just going to get out any excess moisture. That's good, Steve. You can kind of let that go. And then if you hit the black button, it'll stop it. Very good. And you can remove the lid, lift out the basket, and then go ahead and put them in our storage bin. I found that these will easily keep in the refrigerator for a week or a little more. They smell fresh. They have no moldy smell whatsoever. They're wonderful, and we won't lock in all the seeds. You may have to pick out a few seeds, a few of the hulls here and there, but not very many at all, and you can just do that as you serve them, or you can spread them out on a clean dish towel and pick them all out right away if you want. Sunflower shoots are one of the more difficult to grow. Pea shoots don't have an outer hull on them, and they are a little easier to grow, but these are beautiful on a salad. They're delicious, they're nutritious, and I hope that you'll enjoy them. We were created to live in a garden, and this is just an extension of growing food. God bless you. Thank you, Steve.
Glad to do it.
All right.
Enjoy, everyone.
All righty. Bye-bye.